Be delusional and do it scared. Hey everyone, welcome back to Party of One podcast. This is a podcast about self-improvement, self-awareness, self-love, and a bunch of other things. So thanks for tuning in, and let's get into the topic of the video. You're either consciously or subconsciously letting people dictate how you live your life. That needs to stop now. I am a big advocate for doing things scared. And trust me, I am the one that will act scary about it, but still do it anyways. And then be like, oh, it wasn't so bad. And so the topic of today, I really wanted to instill in you and guys, and maybe try to give some perspective on taking back control of your life and not letting others, society, social media, the people close to you, dictate how you decide to leave your legacy. There are so many things that a lot of us are capable of doing, and we can spread so much positivity and be so amazing. That thing you want to wake up and do every day without judgment, do it. Because the thing is, the people you're scared about being judged from, if you actually decide to do that thing, they're not doing the thing they want to do either because they have the same thought process you do right now. The difference between you and them is that you actually want to build the courage to see yourself make it happen. It's harder for them to disassociate between the life that they're living and the life that they want to live because over time, experiences and environments have really discouraged them from thinking that they can make a way for themselves with the visions and the dreams and the ideas that they're getting. And it's not to say that they can't unlearn that. It just becomes substantially harder when all you know is that. But the great news is that if you're listening to this podcast, the only goal that I have is that you see even a 1% difference that you can make for your life to make your dreams happen. Again, I'm not a life coach. I'm not a therapist. These are just my thoughts and my perspective and things that I've pulled myself out of or currently am pulling myself out of. The thing is that you'll never know. And that's where you need to be too. Be confident about a situation or be confident about doing something even if you are extremely petrified to do it. Because people don't know really if you know what you're doing or not, but they know based on how you treat yourself, how you show up for yourself. And if you're showing up for yourself scared or fearful or, not really sure because you're worried about being judged more so than worrying about leaving a legacy, people will be able to see right through you. And so it's not about really necessarily faking it until you make it. But it's just showing up for yourself the way that you truly want to show up for yourself. And so essentially, it is faking it until you make it. I know that's kind of like an oxymoron. Some of you may feel like, oh my gosh, it's contradicting. But it's not. Think about it this way. If you get up every day and don't even think about the food you actually want to eat, except you just get up every day and make some avocado toast and some eggs and drink some water. You don't even think about it. You just get to the action and start doing it. You're then becoming the kind of diet that you wanted to see yourself adapt to. And when I say be delusional, I don't mean be irresponsible and don't have a plan for how you want to see your dreams come true. Plan it out, write it down, and make the vision plain. Habakkuk 2:2. You can see it in your head all you want. People see many ideas and many visions and dreams in their heads and do nothing about it every day. But what I've noticed is a direct correlation between writing it down and not writing it down is going to result in if you do the action or not. A vision board is a great place to start, but understand that creating a vision board isn't the only place that you start and stop at. For example, writing it down, you can make a list, you can make a bullet list and just write down the things that you want to see yourself accomplish. On top of that, add some dates with it. If you want to see a certain financial goal by a certain time, give yourself 3 months to make a small amount of that, or 6 months to make half of it. Whatever it is for you, give yourself a date, but don't give yourself a deadline. Understand that although you may have saved $10,000 by June of 2023, understand that if you get to June 2023 and you only have $5,000, you just get to set a new date. But it would have been completely different had you just said save 10,000 with no initial date in mind. Then that can be over a course of 5, 6, 7 years? So being intentional about the kind of life that you want to create is the first step. And again, these are just things that have worked for me. it can work completely different for you, and you can get to the goal that you're trying to get to quicker, or it could take a little bit longer, but at least you have the items to equip you with how to get there. Understand that we all have a certain lifestyle that we want to live, and we're all wired differently. Everyone does not want the same life that maybe the majority talks about. So for example, everyone doesn't want to be billionaires, and that is okay. And on the latter half of that, a lot of people want to be billionaires, and that is also okay. But you have to be comfortable and allow yourself to love the fact that wherever is comfortable for you will be enough for you. Some people just want financial stability. Some people just want to know, and you could be this person, but again, you can only determine who that person is. Some people just want to know that they can wake up and decide that if they want to take a trip to Europe, they can, without looking at their bank account, worried about if they're able to eat when they get back from the trip. And then some people really want to live a high lifestyle, lavish life, and that is okay. But there are goals that you have to get to first in order to be there. And I just say all that to say, I don't want to go into this big rabbit hole, but I say all that to say, you can have the life that you want. Matter of fact, you already have the life that you want. That's the thing. Because you have seen where you want to be, you already have it. It's just a later version of you that you haven't met yet. These thoughts that you have, these visions that you have towards them, that's the beginning stages of that. You're starting to get into the mindset of becoming that person full time. Right now, you're a part-time person. Right now, you're part-time where you want to be. So you have to start thinking about what are the steps that get me to the person I truly want to be every day. And then also giving yourself grace to know that there won't necessarily be this coronation ceremony where you realize I'm actually the person that I'm becoming. You just have different situations that you're presented with. For example, if you responded negatively to something last year, but this year a situation similar happened and you realized I didn't respond negatively, that revelation itself will show that you have grown. So it won't always be so black and white, like welcome to the next level. You'll just start realizing it day by day. And sometimes you won't realize it. It'll just become who you are. And you won't even really remember that you used to react the way that you did or cared about what people thought or let others dictate how you lived your life. So being delusional about the life you want to live is so important. And it's delusion until it happens, because the thing is, a lot of people want to see a lot of things with themselves. But because the fear of being judged by others outweighs that, it's hard for them to even see themselves on a higher level. So don't be one of them. And if you are one of them, unlearn what has been taught to you, because that thinking didn't come solely from you. Something in your life, someone in your life made you think that what you wanted to become was not attainable. And the truth is that it is. It just starts with you first. And if someone continues to hear that's not achievable, that's really hard, that's not the way to go, that's not normal, they're going to just conform to what they see everyone else doing. A lot of people are dreamers that have just gotten the life sucked out of them. But you have the power to unlearn that. You have the power to get up every day and do something towards that quote unquote unattainable dream. It starts with you. And if you don't believe it, you can absolutely believe it won't happen. So don't let that be the case. I myself am still figuring out a lot of things in life, but I'm not going to kick myself for knowing that I am learning in the process. It's easy because the society makes us think that if it's not instant, it's not meant to be. And that cannot be further from the truth. Do you want 15 minutes of fame, or do you want a lasting legacy? That's what you have to ask yourself. What kind of result do I want to yield from this? Do I just want a couple seconds, a year of this? Or do I want the time and the effort and the energy that I'm putting towards making this happen last, even well past when I'm here? So I say this with so much passion because I know there's a lot of people that can do a lot of great things, but it's the limiting beliefs that others and even sometimes themselves have put on them. Because sometimes you can be your worst enemy and not even know it. The degrading talk, the joking, degrading talk that you have with your friends or family, that's playing into your psyche. If you're really saying, I could never do this, I could never be that. Yeah, you're right. So stop talking about yourself that way, even in a joking manner. And if you catch yourself doing it, that's okay. The fact that you are more aware about the fact that you're doing it means that it'll become less and less and less over time. Everyone's always saying, trust the process, but they don't trust the process. They just want the result. It will take time to see a lasting impact. And there are going to be a lot of hurdles because life is only but a series of emotions and a series of interruption. But the great news is that if you learn how to respond to the way life is presenting itself to you, you're able to reframe how you really feel about what's going on. Everything becomes positive because you either learn something from it or earn something from it. You're never in a lack mindset. You never lack anything. You do not lack anything because you're always getting something from it. Receive the lesson and learn from it, or receive the blessing. Get up every morning with a purpose. Put something in front of your face. Put something in your ears that's positive. What is positive to you? Where do you want to see yourself? And when you start hearing these questions more, your brain is going to subconsciously start thinking about that answer. And then your actions will start aligning with seeing those results. You see how everything plays in line? I made a YouTube video about this on the Party of One podcast YouTube channel. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out when you have the time. The title of the video was "What You Fill Yourself With Is What You Become." That is where it starts. You want to be the billionaire son? What are you filling yourself with every day? You want to be the first financially free daughter in your family? You want to be the mother that creates generational wealth, or the father that embeds in his kids generational wealth? Like, what is it for you? And figuring out that why, figuring out the reason why you're doing it, will allow you to get there. It's not about what you do. It's about why you're doing it. If you're doing it to prove it to someone else, when push comes to shove and a couple obstacles get thrown at you, you'll think to yourself, you're not adequate, you're not equipped, and it's because you weren't doing it for yourself. You were doing it for someone else. So always make sure that it's you versus the you yesterday. Your only competition is who you were yesterday, outshining them so that you can be a better version of yourself, filling yourself with positivity all around. And I say that, and I know some of you guys are like, well, what is the positivity? Just the podcast? No, books, people, experiences, environments, and stopping the negative talk, stopping engaging in anything that is in lack or in negativity. Because even if you're joking, that means you're still accepting the kind of lifestyle that you don't want to subscribe to. So don't subscribe to it. It doesn't mean that you have to call them out. You just simply can be quiet. You don't have to engage in the conversation. You don't have to engage in the environment or the experience. You simply just do whatever makes you the happiest and whatever yields the most positive result. I want to give a quick tip on what helped me start creating an abundance mindset, or thinking in a mindset of only earning instead of losing. The first thing that I did was take out the vocabulary words that were negative. I try as best as possible not to say I'm losing, I can't, I won't, I will never. Anything that is being spoken is something that can be done. So instead of listening to the I can't and I will never, I turn those into I can learn. Soon I will be able to. It's basically just saying what you should be saying about something before you learn it. So say, for example, you're presented with a new position at work and you're not really sure how to do half of the things that they're showing you. I can speak from experience. I took this as an opportunity to instead say, I don't quite get it. See, even when I'm trying to explain it now, my brain isn't even allowing me to say, I don't understand. I would just let them know, can you show me a different way? It's not clicking just yet. So I'm being really intentional about what is happening and what isn't happening just yet. I always have to preface, hey, I know I don't get it completely, but to an extent I do. And then when you start applying that in one area of your life, it's easier for it to start being applied in other areas because it just becomes a part of your system. It then becomes a habit if you create and treat it like one. The hardest things for us to do sometimes is not to see the goals come true, but to create the systems and set the systems up to allow those goals to come true. I will say this, as much as it is relevant in anything that I reference these days, Atomic Habits by James Clear is the book to really start shifting that mindset for you. I think it's not beginner level, and it's not like expertise level either. But in my perception, I thought it was the perfect segue from someone that wants to be and shift into the person that they're supposed to be, but needs a step by step process in understanding, why am I thinking this way? Why do I continue to do this? That book really puts it in perspective without feeling like you're being, I guess, attacked would be the word that I feel most people, myself included, would say. I used to be in a really defensive space of like, no, I understand it. I get it. I can, but I then soon realized that the more that I say, can you explain it to me? Or how do you perceive it? All that does is open up new possibilities and new opportunities for me to see it in different lights. Regardless if I understand it, it's nothing to hear it another way. But it's also a fine line between micromanagement and stuff like that. And that goes into like a deeper segue, but we just focus on, how is this benefiting me? And is the person explaining it to me? Is the book that I'm reading, is that positively helping me? And if not, how can that change? Every single one of us, every one of you listening right now is wired differently. So this may have been extremely helpful, or this may have been just, a little bit helpful, but it's all dependent on how you start to shift the way that your brain starts thinking about things. And I think because it can be very sensitive in the society that we are, we'd be very careful about things that are said. Just be intentional. If your intention is in the right place, what you say and what comes across will be easy to understand. There's going to be a couple exceptions. It's not going to be easy as it is said, done for some people, because they have a little further to go on their journey of understanding and diving deeper into reframing their mindset in order to create an abundance lifestyle for them. The law of attraction is real. Faking it until you make it is real, for a lack of better words. However you present yourself to the world is how the world will see you. So that's why when I say be delusional, it again does not mean be reckless in your thought process, in your actions, but you want to be a superstar. And by breaking that down a little bit more, you want to break out into the music industry. If that's where you want to go, you can do whatever it takes to do that. If you want to be the next scientist that really makes a groundbreaking discovery, you can do that. And I mean, think about it on the highest scale possible. And don't even let your brain think that it's so high that it's not even attainable. It's not achievable, because that's where you start putting that limiting belief on, therefore allowing others in your life or others that you kind of come across in different seasons to confirm that it's not meant for you or that it's too high. You set the standard. You let the ceiling be the floor. I'm so serious. You have the power to control if you get there or not. And by speaking down on yourself, you're making it harder for yourself. So only speak up. Only speak in a space of positivity. And if others are kind of coming at you with their limiting beliefs, all you have to do is counterattack that, sometimes just in your head. If they're speaking in your head, you can reject it. You don't always have to say it out loud. You can, reject it quietly, and then in the privacy of your own space, reject it publicly. Talk to God about it. Get confirmation about it. What's really helped me on my journey is leaning on God and trusting the process, and knowing that whatever happens is what was meant to happen. I have the opportunity to speed that process up based on, one, not only trusting the process, but two, making sure that the actions align with it. And three, being kind to myself in knowing that just because I set a date does not mean it's the deadline. It means that I was intentional enough to see myself here at this time. If that time has arrived and I'm not there yet, good news. You can reset the date. Now make it another 6 months and watch how many people and experiences and environments push you even further than the first 6 months did. It's all in your control, in your mind. God lays out the foundation and the steps, and you get where you're supposed to go when you're supposed to get there. But you have to be on a wave of positivity and on a wave of abundance and attracting positivity. As you start getting into that mindset, you'll start noticing that it may come in different waves. One week you may feel super motivated and you're just going to go, go, go. And another week it may feel like it's harder to go, but you still do it. Don't confuse it with hustle culture, because hustle culture will hustle you. I don't subscribe to hustle culture. I don't think that, in my personal opinion, it is helpful to always be doing something at all hours of the day, no matter what. I try to bring perspective in the wisdom that God instills in me through being intentional in knowing that there is a process and that there is a time and place that everything is supposed to happen, and that you are always just setting yourself up for success. You are always in the preparation stage because you don't want the opportunity to be afforded to you and then you're not ready for it. So always stay prepared so you don't have to get prepared. If there's another quote I remember from my childhood, it's hearing that one. And it's easy to hear this now, wherever and however you're listening, especially when you're in a space to receive it. But I will try to challenge, and myself is included in this statement. I would try to challenge in times where it's not as easy to think, to stop and be slow to speak and slow to respond and slow to the intrusive thoughts. First of all, blocking out those intrusive thoughts and only thinking to myself, if it's negative, is it really from God? Think about that. And then challenge that thought with, or am I scared about actually succeeding, because that means that I will actually have to maintain it. And it's okay to be honest with yourself. We'll go through different stages and seasons in our lives, but if we are just open to the possibility and open to the opportunity to make something happen and to be okay with how it happens, you come out on top every time. You can only control your reactions and your responses, so let them be as positive as possible. The great news is that every minute of our life we have the option to change the kind of person we're presenting ourselves as right now. So if you want to truly do that, and maybe this is just a stepping stone, maybe you'll listen to another piece of content or read a different book, or, have a great mentor come into your life that really has this seed click for you. Right now, I could just be planting the seed for someone. Or right now, this could really be the turning point for someone. We're all at different seasons and stages of our life. Give yourself grace and be kind to yourself in knowing that this takes time. This is subjective. This means everything you're working towards. All of it takes time to create a lasting impact. So let intentionality and impact be your top two focuses in whatever you do. Being delusional about your life is important because it means that you believe in yourself, which is so delusional in this day and age for a lot of people. You believe in yourself so much that no matter what limiting beliefs are thrown at you, they can't overpower the actions and the mindset that you have for becoming the best version of yourself. I really hope that this podcast helped you give a little bit of perspective. I try to do my best to talk about my experiences as vague as possible, because I want you guys to apply this to your life. I don't want to give too many examples towards something specific to where you can't see it apply to your life. I always want to try to leave a fill in the blank so that you can think to yourself, yeah, I can become that person, and I definitely see what's being said. So with that, make the rest of this week a great week and continue to do that. Set yourself up for success by leaving things around the house, replaying things that motivate you, replaying things that instill the fire in you to keep going. Think about the person you're doing it for. Hopefully it's you first. And then think about the people that will be impacted by the legacy that you leave. just because you decided to actually take action and believe in yourself. Thank you guys again for joining me on Party of One podcast. I am grateful again to all you guys spending even a fraction of your day with me. And I will continue to make as much content as possible. The best is my ability. I always want to create quality and not quantity. So just be patient. If you see a slowdown or if you see an increase, just take things how they come. And remember, you can only control how you respond to life. And so make sure that you can always respond to it positively so that whatever you get out of it comes back to you just as positive. See you guys on the next episode of Party of One podcast.